Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
If it's made in Minnesota, who's making it and how?
Yeah, you got that right.
It's the Makers of Minnesota, focusing on the products and services uniquely made in Minnesota, and conversations with the makers, entrepreneurs, and innovators in Minnesota about how they conceived of their products and how they brought them to market. With Stephanie Hansen, it's the Makers of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Stephanie Hansen, and you're listening to the Makers of Minnesota. And thank you for joining us today. I believe we are on episode 83 or 84. Sometimes I don't look at in advance, which I should, but I didn't. And I'm really excited about this episode. I'm here with Corey Robinson, and she is with a company called The Cookie Creative. Corey, I first ran into you at the River Place Farmers Market that I was programming, and you had these just beautifully designed sugar cookies, and you had really cool packaging, and I thought, wow, this is like a total business that this person has. Not that, it's not like you're a bakery. You're literally doing like cookies full time. I'm kind of obsessed with them, to be honest. I follow you on Instagram, and every time you post, I just like, wow, my mom was a good cookie decorator, so it kind of reminds me of her a little bit.
Yeah. So cool.
And the way you package them and the way that you put them together, like, so an example might be you have a little kid that's having a birthday party. You've got unicorn cookies, you've got cookies with her name on it, you've got cookies with flowers that go with the theme. It's all just really, really sweet. How did you learn how to do this?
I've been doing it actually since I was a little kid. And I don't know, basically I just liked to do anything that was crafty or artistic or fun.
Were you a painter?
Yep, I like to do watercolor. Honestly, just anything that was artistic that I could get my hands on, I would love to do. So I've been making these. I started with my mom and my friend Betsy Hansen's mom and Betsy when I was a little kid, probably like 10, 11, 12. And then as I got older, I learned how to make real royal icing, which was such a game changer.
And let's talk about that, because I know you do classes about this and help people. Real royal icing is different than what other kind of icing?
So before I would do just a glaze, which is like powdered sugar and milk or water.
Yep.
And royal icing is a little different because it's actually a confection. It's a candy type item, and it dries hard. And it's really great to decorate with because it's just extremely fluid. It flows into just a smooth, glassy surface when you're using it. And you can also use it to create decorative elements by increasing the thickness of it. So you can do things like roses and floral decor and just very intricate piping work and things like that. So,
and it comes in... So you color it, right?
I color it, yep. So I make it from scratch, and I actually make a vegan version of it. So usually people use egg whites to make it, and instead of using egg whites, I use something called aquafaba. And what that is, it's basically the water drained off of chickpeas, which sounds really strange.
No, I totally know this stuff.
Oh, that's great.
This viscous substance.
Yes, yeah, and it has the same protein structure as egg whites, so it works in exactly the same way. And in all honesty, I made the switch to using it fairly recently, but I started developing a recipe maybe like 8 months before that using it, and I like it so much better than using egg whites or meringue powder. But I used that, and then you just add powdered sugar to that little cream of tartar to stabilize it, and you whip it up, and it turns into this beautiful marshmallowy confection that you can decorate with, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it's your cookies are so beautiful too. It doesn't surprise me that you have some proprietary way of doing this because, they're really elegant looking.
Well, thank you.
And do they last? Like it looks like they're kind of not shelf stable, but it looks like they last for a while too.
They do, yep. As far as eating them, I give them about 2 weeks for a shelf life if they're packaged. But my mom has cookies that I decorated as a little kid, as Christmas ornaments that are still on the tree, and that was a really long time ago. So
we have those too.
You do?
Yeah,
oh,
my
great.
mom, we would make cookies when we were little, and we would save a certain amount of them as decorations.
Oh, that's so good! Isn't that so fun?
Yeah, we would have a kid tree and a parent tree, I guess. What made you decide, you've always been a creative person, what made you decide, like, hey, I really love doing these cookies, this is a business for me?
I always wanted to start my own business. Since I was a little kid, I was always like doing different business ideas. Like I had a little jewelry business as a kid. I always sold lemonade, stuff like that.
You were very entrepreneurial, like.
Yeah, I always kind of had that in me. So it was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to do something like that. And then cottage food law changed.
Yes.
Yeah. And when cottage food law changed and opened up so that I could sell cookies direct to clients, I was like, this is a game changer for me. And I noticed that there weren't many people doing what I was doing in the Twin Cities yet. So I just decided to go for it. And then around that time, I also moved into the A-Mill, and we had our first makers market. So I was like, okay, here's something that I can sell at this makers market. So I'm going to go for it. And it went super well. Like I was not expecting it to go as well as it did. I sold out before the market was even over. And I just was elated. Like I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And so after that, I started posting, to Instagram all the time. And the response was so great. I mean, everybody in Minneapolis and St. Paul has been so welcoming and wonderful. And I started to get invited to do styled shoots and just interacting with all these different people in the business community and events planning community. And I just can't say enough good things about, just that sense of community here in Minneapolis and the reciprocity and how everybody just kind of helps each other out to grow and thrive. So
One of the other ways that I came across you was more recently. I did a social media event, and we had different stylists come and decorate tables. Oh. And there was a gentleman named Anthony who had a table.
Oh, Anthony.
Yeah,
so
and
great.
he had a package that was on the styled table as part of his decor.
Yeah.
And you opened up the package, and there was a cookie that the design matched. It was an animal. It was like a leopard.
Yes.
And that design matched the plate.
Yeah.
And that was your cookie.
Yeah. Oh,
Do you
that's
do
so
a lot
fun.
of that for like styled events or weddings?
I do a lot of that. Usually people just send me some element of their decor, whether it be an invitation. In that case, Anthony just sent me a plate and was like, just go off of this. And he did the beautiful packaging for that because I saw the pictures.
They were
able to be
gorgeous.
there, but
Yeah.
He picked out this beautiful, white box to put them in, and everything just flowed together so well. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
How did you know, like, okay, you decide you're going to do this, you do it at a maker's market. And A-Mill, by the way, if you don't know, is a very cool place. It is run by a company called Dominium, and they took this old milling loft and they turned it into a artist space. They have one in St. Paul as well. And I'm not sure how it works, but if you're an artist, you can pay like a portion of your income because obviously a lot of artists don't make a ton of money. So it allows you to have like a creative space, a creative community, live in a cool space, but also still produce your art, right?
Yes, yeah.
I love that company does that. I wish we had more spaces like that in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, it is just so wonderful. I can't say enough good things.
Because it does impact, like if I look at you as a maker and that's your core business is making cookies or part of it, you probably couldn't necessarily have that flexibility to pursue that as a business unless you had some help, right?
Yeah, it honestly has been so helpful from, everything from the spaces that are available to use. I use A-Mill for a lot of my workshops and, just the events and different things that we do where we're able to interact with the public. It's just been wonderful.
What made you decide you go from you're making cookies and you're packaging them and selling them to that you would have classes for people to teach them how to do this? Why was that interesting for you?
I guess I just always kind of wanted to teach it as well. It just sounded like something that would be super fun to, get a group of people together and teach them how to do it. So that was just always in the plan, I guess, for my business. But the first one that I hosted, I actually teamed up with Holly Nolan of Pipeline Cookie, and we did one together at the A-Mill. I believe that was the summer of 2016. And it was just so much fun. I decided, okay, this is definitely a thing that we're going to have to keep on doing. So, continued on that path. And I don't know, usually I try to teach about 3 a year of big workshops, and then I'll do just one-on-ones with people as well.
Do you worry about like competition? Like if you teach somebody how to do this and they're really good at it, that then they'd be competitive with you in the sales field?
No, not really. Honestly, I think there's enough business for everybody. And I actually there have been a lot of people that have come to my workshops that have also started cottage food businesses. And, I'm happy to teach them.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it, honestly. If you think about all the different bakeries and places to buy like a wedding cake in the Twin Cities
Sure.
that are thriving and doing great, like I really think that we can all do business and it'll be fine. Yeah, and as far as people in the cookie community too, because there have been a lot of businesses in the last couple of years that have popped up, I don't know. It's so great. We refer to each other when we're too busy, and it's, there are some great companies out there too.
Do you have like a set amount of cookies you can make in a week, like realistically, before you start running out of time?
Yeah. I think the max I ever did in a week was probably 675. Yeah.
And that felt like a lot.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot of cookies. Yeah. Yeah, your hand starts to cramp a little bit, Have to go to the chiropractor after that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
One of the things I noticed that you do is, so you're doing cutouts. Do you always buy, like, this is the unicorn cutout? One of the things I noticed that you do is you will buy different shapes and turn them into something that the cutter wasn't necessarily intended for.
Yes, absolutely.
So can you give me an example of like one of those where you see a shape and you make it into something else?
Sure. I recently did these tiny little birthday cake cookies, and to make that shape, I actually took a rectangular cookie cutter and bent it to turn it into like sort of, the perspective of a cake sitting on a table. So
Yep.
the top and bottom are rounded. And then I took another little cookie cutter that was like a very small rectangle and cut that to turn it into the candle on the top. So you kind of just stick them together and then put them in the oven and they bake together. And
Oh, that's smart.
yeah, it works out pretty well. It's not the most time efficient thing always, but
Yeah. How long do you think it takes you to design one cookie?
Goodness, it totally depends on the cookie. But I do, I have different price tiers for different cookies. Just depending on the level of detail and the amount of the type of design that I'm working on.
What do they range from?
So they start at $4 a cookie, and then I go up to, $5, $6 plus.
Sure.
If they're really intricate or hand painted, where it's basically like an illustration on a cookie, they can get a little pricier.
Yeah.
But it does take a lot of time and detail work to do them. So
Are there other bakers or people in town that you just like admire and you look at their work, or even out of town? Do you follow people on Instagram to get inspiration?
I follow a lot of people on Instagram. Yeah. Recently, Ink Sweets, she does some really awesome cakes. And
Yep.
she does cookies too. Yeah, Amy's Cupcake Shop is a good one to follow.
I just
Minnie's
found her,
Cookies,
actually.
Polka Dot Cookie. There's so many good ones. Yeah.
How do people find out about you usually? Do you market at all?
I don't really market that much. Mostly it's, community events for sure. But I would say, at this point, a lot of referrals. But in the beginning, Instagram. Just everybody came to me through Instagram.
So you made a business on Instagram.
Basically.
Yeah, and it's free. Are you noticing that since they've changed the Instagram algorithm that you're noticing less traffic or less orders? Because that's happened within the last month.
Surprisingly, no.
No? Okay.
I've heard about it, and I have, just tried not to think about it too much. or
Sure.
worry about it too
Out
much,
of sight,
but-
out of mind. Can't control it.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to deal with this. But no, I haven't really noticed any issues. And with the Instagram stories too, it's kind of good. You can use that to just notify people of a new post if you want to. But yeah.
Zoe Bakes is a friend of mine, and she's really blown out. I don't know if you've seen her Instagram stories. She really has taken that medium to, I feel like, the next level, where she's doing a cooking class almost in a story.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's really increased her engagement and increased her following. So that might be something, because it is fun to watch. I think I've seen you do some videos. It's fun to watch along and see you start it like from beginning to end in the fast motion.
Yeah. I don't do that as much anymore, but I really should be doing more of it. They are so fun to watch.
Are they hard to produce and that's why you don't do them more?
Yeah, I guess so. Honestly, like a lot of times I'm just really busy, you know, working on the cookies
Yeah.
themselves, and I just have a tendency to take on a lot of things
Ye-
where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have this many cookies to make in how much time? So at that point, I'm like, you know, every second counts and you're not necessarily able to do the videos, but I want to do more of them. I follow Sugar and Bloom Cakes on Instagram too. I don't know if you follow her, but she does start to finish, you know, decorating a cake, and I'm like addicted to watching her videos.
Yeah,
when
I
she
like
does
them
that.
too.
They're so fun.
Is it a business where, like, are you going to max out at some point, and are you okay with that? Or then can you like hire an apprentice and then you can grow that way? Or is growth even something you're interested in? You're so creative.
You know, I am not really sure what the future holds. I have a few ideas in mind as far as how I'd like the business to grow, and most of it involves the workshop and teaching aspect of it. But I definitely, I don't know, I'm kind of a go with the flow type of person, so I guess we'll see what develops.
Do you follow a Pinch of Yum?
No, I don't.
It's something I would recommend to you because what they started out as, it's a woman who was a recipe developer and a blogger, and then she got married, and he was kind of the tech side. And together, they've really built up quite a following, and I think they have like 8 employees now. And what they started out with was, you know, developing recipes. Then they started to create a software that you could use to implement your ingredients and to print out like a card. And then now they're almost a social media company that's teaching other people how to be a social media company in the food world. And I could see you maybe like that could be, if you like teaching and you like the business of the teaching, maybe making that the next part of the business where they're creating less but telling you how to do it more.
That sounds, I like that. I'm going to have to give them
Yeah,
a follow.
it's pretty interesting. And they monetize it by having like, you know, you can belong to a society, you can listen to they do a podcast about what they do. Yeah, so just something interesting for you to check out.
Yeah, I will definitely have to do that.
It's thecookieCreative.com. People can find you there. Do you have any other inspirations in the Twin Cities, other like industries or art or music or things that inspire you?
Gosh, there's so many inspiring things in the Twin Cities. Yeah, you know, definitely a lot of music here. There's a lot of good music in the Twin Cities. Honestly, everything I see could potentially inspire me.
Yeah.
You know, there's just anything from like a textile to a watercolor painting or, you know, interior design. Gosh, just look around you. It's inspiring everywhere.
Yeah.
Or the snow today, as much as I wish
I know.
it were spring.
It is just totally
But-
snowing outside, and it's
Yeah.
April. Well,
Yeah.
this will air in a couple weeks, and hopefully by then there'll be some blooms that'll be coming up. But for now, we're just snow.
But it sure is pretty.
It is pretty. It is very pretty. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah,
I really
thank you so
appreciate
much for
hearing about
having
your
me.
business. It's thecookieCreative.com, Corey Robinson, and you can find her and place your cookie order.